name is Grace Efezokhaegrace and my channel's name is Converse with Gracie. I'm so happy that you stopped by today and thank you so much for stopping by. I hope that you like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for your contributions to my last video where I talked about 5 tips that I think all immigrants from African country should, be conscious of or should always know at the back of their minds. And it's been a great journey for me. In the past 5 to 6 years, I've been on this immigrant journey. So I moved to the US for my master's, moved back to Nigeria, and then I moved to Canada on a permanent residence. And I think that there are so many things I wish I had known then that I'm just realizing now. And I always try to tell other immigrants of this relevant information. So yeah, a lot of Nigerians are currently moving to Canada like I did 4 years ago. So what I'm going to do right now is I started this series. So I'm going to do a video on how to prepare your resume from your Nigerian experience so that a Canadian can understand it. And then I'm also going to do another video right after this on how to interview really well. And then after that, I'm going to talk about the difference between the Canadian workspace and the Nigerian workspace and how to, be a very good culture fit. So now let's get right into it. So a lot of times when Nigerians move into Canada, we always hear thing of, he or she doesn't have Canadian experience, and then that creates a bias when you submit your resumes. So I'm going to discuss more on the Canadian culture in the interview video, but right now I'm going to talk about resume writing. So what exactly is your resume? Your resume is a marketing document. It's not an autobiography. It's not a place where you have to write all your life history. You should make your resume concise and crisp. Hit all the right note on the head and send that resume out to people. And one thing I also want you to know is that in Canada, internal referral is a big thing here. A lot of people, if you have a friend that works for company ABC and they refer you for a role, they actually get paid for it when you're hired. And I think different companies have different policies. So maybe you could, if you maybe on the point of hire, they could pay the person $500, and maybe after 6 months, the person could get $1,000. And I've seen internal referrals that have gone up to $5,000. So it's good to have a very good resume so that even when you have this, internal referrals that kind of makes you bypass the ATS system and all of that, it gives you an edge. So first thing I want you to know about your resume, like I said, is that your resume is a marketing document and you are the value. Always carry that consciousness. I don't care what country you moved, even if it is the least developed least developed country in the world, and you move to the most highly developed country in the world. I don't care. You have so much value to give in that country. So for your resume, we need to be able to have, I want you to be able to have a resume that can connect, that a Canadian recruiter can connect to. So when I say I help people with resumes, and let me even give you my resume journey. So when I first moved to Canada and I used to get my friends to do referrals for me, I always hear that you're not selling yourself enough on your resume. And I used to be like, which one is selling myself enough? My resume is fine. I've spent so much time to review it. However, I think I really got to understand what they really meant much later. And in 2021, this year in January, I actually sat down with a career coach, Dr. Adiola Olubamiji. You can check her out on LinkedIn. I think she's very active on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter, right? So reach out to her for if you were interested in a career mentoring session. And we had a lot of things that in my session with her. One of them was resume review, and that was the first time that somebody was actually very blunt with me about my resume, looking at my resume line by line and telling me, why are you using this, why are you saying this, you don't really show yourself as a valuable employee. So I'm going to be sharing some of all those tips that I've learned so far, how I was able to improve my resume and actually help other people as well for a token and on pro bono basis as well. So for your resume, it's a marketing document. We don't need too much stories. So we know that you're coming from Nigeria, where you have to put your date of birth. So many things that you need to take out from your resume. You don't need to put your date of birth. We don't need to see your marital status. You don't need to emphasize on NYC experience. Look at the structure of your resume. Most of the time I see people say, I want to have a 1-page resume, and I see somebody else's resume that will have 7 pages. Well, I'm not an HR expert, but I think that you need to be able to sell yourself quickly, because you're not the only one applying for that particular role. There are like hundreds or even 1,000 people applying for that same role. And even if the resume goes through the ATS system, we're still going to have human beings that are going to look at that resume to say, oh, let's call this person. Is the resume compelling enough that at the first few seconds, maybe if you want to have a summary, if you want to have maybe the first role, your most current role, is it catchy enough? So sometimes I see people that have 7-page or 3-page resume that I feel like this is just a whole lot of information. And I've seen people that have 1-page resume that I feel like all the words are choking. So I think you should go with your guts, but make sure that you're not saying too much information on your resume. Don't make your resume feel like, let all the words on your resume end their space. Every bullet point should end their space on your resume. So now, how do you create that compelling resume? The first thing is, your resume should never read like a job description. So let's say for example, you're an accountant. You are an accountant in ABC company. I know that you're going to do all the accounting captions, your property, plant and equipment. I know all of that. So if your resume reads like a job description, I feel like you didn't add value to that company. So what are the things that you're going to do about your resume? You're going to look at that resume. So in your job description, or you're an HR expert, don't just say hire people. Start with very beautiful verbs like, oh, successfully onboarded 100 new hires across 3 states in Nigeria. Like, don't just put Lagos or your Ibadan. No, okay, let me not say Ibadan. Ibadan is not a state. So let's say you put Lagos or your Ibadan or your Osun, Edo. People don't know all those states here, right? So you need to be able to just say across 3 states. Don't let your resume read like a job description. Show your resume in qualitative and quantitative terms. So you're an auditor. How many clients did you work with? I want you to see that on your resume. And this client, what was their asset size? So you audited 10 companies or 10 companies in what sector? Is it telecommunication sector, or your clients in the oil and gas sector? So put all of that, be able to quantify, let people be able to connect with the things that you have done there. And another thing is, for the companies, every company that you work with, especially when they are not international companies. So you work for a well-known construction company in Nigeria, let's say FKFK Limited. Nobody knows what FKFK Limited is. So it would be nice on your resume that you have FKFK Limited and just put in brackets, maybe leading construction company or a construction company with this particular asset size. When you are doing this asset size, be able to put, you can put the values in Naira, but I'm a recruiter, let's say I'm a Canadian recruiter. I don't know what Naira conversion is. So make sure you convert all those values to the Canadian equivalent. So you can say, oh, you worked on this project. What's the project size? So let's say you convert it to Canadian dollars and it's like $10,000 or $20,000. So avoid all unnecessary fluff in your resume, like detail-oriented, superb communication skills. Which one again do you guys see? Goal-oriented. Don't tell me you are goal-oriented. Tell me about the goals that you smashed in your company. Don't tell me you have superb communication skills. Let me know in the bullet points how you showed those superb communication skills that you claim to have. Don't just tell me, show me how you did all of that. Make sure you have the right formatting. Make sure somebody helps you to review your resume to avoid typos. Avoid personal pronouns on your resume. So don't be putting, I now did this, I communicated to the CFO. No, you don't need to put I communicated to the CFO. You start with communicated with the C-suite executives, or communicated with the top leading C-suite executives, something like that. Don't avoid pronouns. All these I, we, me, myself. It's not needed on your resume. Every bullet point should start with a very strong verb. Like, is it coordinated, negotiated, managed, led a team of 6? You know, all those great things. Start your resume, start your bullet points with all those very beautiful verbs. And so, for example, you've worked for 5 companies in the space of 10 years. You're going to have all those, you want to list all those companies on your resume. So it would be nice of you to maybe have 3 bullet points of the most compelling things that you did in those jobs. So you were the head of account. So another thing I'd like you to know is the job titles. So in your particular field of study, I want you to go to indeed.com or research the companies that you want to actually work for and see how they curate their job titles. So I've worked with a client, and on one of our jobs that she has worked on, our job title was an accounting assistant. So I asked her, what are the things that you did on the job? By the time we were able to go through all the things, I realized that she had done so much more. And an accounting assistant didn't quite fit. I'm not saying that because you're an accounting assistant, you're going to put that you were the CFO. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you need to be able to, because we're immigrants, so there's already bias. So we need to be able to try as much as possible to cancel or reduce those biases a little. So a Canadian might see that and think, oh, accounting assistant, that means she was the one carrying files and stapling documents and arranging files on the shelf. So rather than putting accounting assistant, just put accountant and say 3 bullet points that you did. And think about the project that you have worked on. Think about those times when you felt like your job wasn't even going great. I mean, it wasn't going well. You faced challenges. How did you handle those challenges? So I'll give you an example. I had a friend. She resumed a job as head of accounts. And in Canada, head of accounts is, there's nothing really like head of accounts. You're either a manager. So like, let's just put accounting manager there. So one of our first bullet points was she led a team, and then she had they had offices across Lagos, Abuja, and I think Ibadan. So like what we did was we led, how many people were on the team that were reporting to her? There were about 6. So great. So we changed it from head of account to account manager. And the first bullet point was led a team of 6 for all accounting functions across 3 states or across 3 regions in Nigeria. You know, that starts your bullet point like that. I'm like, nice. I like what this person has done here. So you start to negotiate it. So you worked on a particular project, you were in the finance department, and there was this office-wide project that you needed to do. So you collaborated with a cross-functional team of 10 for XYZ project. What was the impact of that project? You put it there on your resume. So being able to try and just think about even all those times I told you, like difficult projects. So yeah, back to my friend. So she resumed a job as a head of accounts. So we changed that to accounts manager. And on I think first 3 months or the 3rd month of her job, I think the first month, FRS. So FRS is like the CRA equivalent. They actually came to our office and they closed down the office. They shut it down because they had not paid taxes. So as the head of accounts, so it's our duty to report every day at the FRS office to negotiate with the officials there on how to, how they can set up a payment plan and all of that. So what we did was we started our bullet points with negotiated with the Apex tax regulatory body. I think I negotiated with the Apex tax regulatory body, blah, blah, blah. So you can see how we started that. So you need to be able to think very well about all these things. Start your bullet points, collaborated, negotiated, coordinated a team or coordinated a project. You led a data migration project. So you were trying to move from paperless to digital, right? So put all those things digital. So put all those things together. Like let your resume, your bullet points come to place. So let us look at a typical structure of your resume. So you put your name, Grace. And I know one thing that African immigrants do is sometimes their name could be Olukayode, but they don't want to put Olukayode because they think maybe people will not call them, so they want to put Olu. I don't care. It's up to you to choose whatever it is you want to call your name, but make sure your name is consistent. So I've seen people that will use Abayomi Koka on their resume, for example, and then on LinkedIn I'm seeing Yom, on cover letter I'm seeing something else. So try and be I don't know, it's up to you whatever name you want to use, but try and be consistent. So on your resume, have your name, your phone number, your email. Always put your LinkedIn, the link to your LinkedIn profile. So some people put like a summary. It's up to you if you really want to do a summary, but I always advise that for your summary, you should make it, if it's not crisp and short, just stick it out. Make it very sweet. 3 lines max. Don't go and start writing. I've seen some people that write 7 lines for a summary. You can do 3 lines for your summary. And for some people that have done managerial roles, I've worked as VPs, I always encourage them that from there, when they put the old name, phone number and everything, you can do a summary. Whatever professional with 10 years experience, working across maybe what kind of project, what particular size of millions of dollars, across 3 regions, across 3 continents. Then you can put your key accomplishments, maybe 3 or 4 lines, and then you can now start the roles that you have done. So yeah, like, it's not necessary that you put a summary, but it's really up to you if you want to put a summary. So like, you can put that, and then you can start with your job. So you worked at Globalcom. Nobody knows what Globalcom is in Canada. So you put Globalcom, and you put in bracket, one of Nigeria's leading telecommunication provider or mobile network provider, something like that. You put the date, your bullet points. Make sure that your bullet point is carrying value. So if you led a team of 6, what was the value added for that particular role that you did? So you put in all of that. So particular role, you put the role, 3 to 4 bullet point max, and don't let your bullet point be more than 2 lines. Just make them very impactful. Coordinated a team of 6 across 5 geopolitical zones in Nigeria to achieve this particular project worth $1 million. Make it crisp and short. Let it have a summary. Let it be able to summarize all the great, amazing work that you have done. And just to let you know that you don't have to have worked for your dream company. You don't have to have been the most valuable employee. You don't have to have been paid $1 million in order for you to have a great resume. See, you are the value, whether you do it, you like your job or you don't like your job, whether your manager was toxic or not, use the job that you have done, you put it there on your resume. And I've worked with a client. So in Nigeria, she was an admin assistant, and she always felt like, oh, what's in here for me? I'm like, and as an admin assistant, what are the things that you did? So she told me how she used to coordinate board meetings for the like the CEO. Then when they want to have those annual meetings or important meetings with like VIPs, she organizes those meetings. I'm like, that's a great thing for you to do. So why don't we start with coordinated annual and quarterly board meetings for how many C-suite executives do you have? For maybe 6 C-suite executives and all the board of directors for XYZ company. You know, like, you see how you just rephrase that. So it's just language that matters. And I see that sometimes people are not confident in what they have done in their careers, or maybe a particular role, because they feel like they were not well paid. And then when you ask them, what did you do? You're like, I didn't really like the job. We don't care. It's going to be on your resume. So you need to show that everything on your resume, you need to be very excited to talk about it at your interview. So when you have all those great bullet points, you can put your education and certification, University of maybe you went to University of Nigeria, is it in Soka, or University of Ibadan, Nigeria, put it there, bachelor's in accounting. If you came out rated with a 3rd class or a 2-2, don't need to put. It's only when you came out with a 1st class that you're gonna start stating it there that you have a 1st class. So yeah, make your resume crisp, make your resume short. And if you have volunteer positions, you can actually have those volunteer positions. So in summary, I want you to know that you are the value. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy for you that you have moved into your dream host country. You are the value. You are happy to be here. The country is also happy to have you. And I want you to be able to have a very great and compelling resume. Take out all this excess information. Date of birth is not needed. Marital status. I've seen people that even have primary school, secondary school, on their resume. It's not needed, because if you have a bachelor's degree, that's already counts. Like, I already know that for you to have had a bachelor's degree, you must have done high school, secondary school, or elementary school. So try and take out all of that. Your bachelor's degree is just fine. Create those concise and very compelling, make it very interesting for me to read. Don't look at a job description for your role that you have done on that resume, and look at your resume. Does it look alike? If you look alike, that means you need more work to be done. Don't just say, as an accountant, I filed taxes. What kind of taxes did you file? Who were you reporting to? Did you liaise, or is it liaise or liaise they call it now, liaise with the tax regulatory bodies in Nigeria across 10 states? Put all those really nice things, put all those very wonderful. I'm going to put a link below to some of these resume templates or tips for all these Ivy League schools in the US. I found them very helpful when I started helping newcomers with their resume. So thank you so much for watching my video. I'm always very willing to help new immigrants that are moving from Nigeria to Canada. So you can send me an email, and if I have the time, I'm going to look at it. But if you are going to pay me for a token, surely I have your time. So let me know in the comment section. And for all immigrants that are doing what they call them now, minimum wage jobs, I know that you are not happy to be there because you come with so much experience from your home country. There is a way you can phrase that your minimum wage job on your resume that wouldn't look too way off, and everybody understands you're a newcomer here. But no matter whether you're on a minimum wage job and you don't really like it, I want you to know that you have the value. We've come miles away from our country, and we are going to win in this country. So if you have any other resume tips for newcomers or immigrants, please put them in the comment section. Or what are the things that really stood out for you in this in this video? Please let me know in the comment section. And if you have questions, put them in the comment section as well, and I'm going to try my best to reply to every one of you that has a question. And always feel free to reach out to me on my email if you want me to review your resume for a token, or you want me to just have a quick review and I'll just let you know in 5 minutes what I think about your resume. Thank you so much for watching, and my next video I'm going to be talking about interviewing in the Canadian space. Thank you so much.